Hello everyone, I'm Huskerman and welcome to another build video. Now this is an idea I got while sitting around figuring out build designs, and all of a sudden I had an epiphany and I had to quickly grab my pen and paper and scribble it down. I wanted a big swoopy tree with a nice hobbit house underneath, so that's what we're gonna build today. So let's get started. This is our build site right here. It's a nice hillside with a pretty forest backdrop. To make space for today's build, I had to do a bit of deforestation. To make the terrain work for me, I also had to shape the land with a bit of terraforming. So to make space for the build, I very quickly got rid of the trees to make space for, well, a bigger tree. For the terrain, I want the base of the tree to look like a hill that I can build a house into, similar to a hobbit hole. So I made a little hill using some different blocks to texture the terrain, like mossy cobblestone, moss, and podzol. For the front of the build here, I want to make it bright and cottagecore. I went for using birch and oak logs, and to add some colors, I used some green and yellow by the doors and windows. I like making my builds have different elevations to help create a much more interesting space. So at the front, I built some stairs and a wall that goes up to the upper section of the garden. The main part of the build here is going to be a wonderfully bright big tree. I went for birch and oak wood here as well, and I even used some smooth sandstone to lighten up the top of the trunk a bit. And shape-wise, I wanted it to hang over the main house part so that it kind of creates this half-moonish shape. For the leaves, I used azaelea leaves, some yellow glass, and yellow concrete to add some lighter spots. And I wanted to make it quite bushy, but not too overboard, so I still show the shape of the branches. Now to finish off the tree, I built a big lantern hanging from some big chains from the top of the tree. This adds some nice weight to it that drags down the top of the tree. I liked how this came together. I feel like the lantern really added another extra bit of that cozy, fantasy feel that I want for this build. Now of course, we have to make the build fit into its environment. To get that started, I built some custom trees around the area to create a nice forest scenery around it. Now for the build to have some back windows and to have a nice backyard garden, I had to change up the terraforming here. Starting at the back, I put in windows so it would be easier to build a nice little scenery around them. I want to make this look like a nice garden area. Using different stones, I made a back wall. I also put together this nice stand that I thought would look nice to put pots on, like they're pots of herbs and spices. Just using fences, barrels, slabs, trapdoors and such. I added in some glowberries to have some nice vines at the back. Then I filled the pots with saplings, fern and mushrooms. Another necessity to have in your backyard garden is of course a little raised garden. This one is for carrots, with a little roof on top to carry that style over from the herb garden. Now isn't that nice? Next to it, I decided to put in a little storage area full of barrels stacked on each other. Just a little shed with a roof to keep the barrels protected from the rain. Then I started filling in the place with more foliage, like berry bushes, fancy pots of flowers, and all the nice green stuff. After that, I moved on to filling the pathways going around the tree using cobble, gravel, coarse dirt, and path blocks to texture it. I wanted the roads to be gravelly and curved naturally, so that's what I tried pulling off here. At the back of the tree, I built a little field for more food and another nice bed of natural plants, since that is the theme I am going for in this build. Put a nice little cob wall around the hill behind it, and built a fence around the field using various cobble and wood blocks, and finished it off by lighting it up with lots of lanterns. Next to it, I wanted a little shack to store tools, empty crates, fertilizer, seeds, or whatever the people that live in this tree would hide in a shack. I just wanted to make it look like a little ragtag and quickly hammered together shack. At the front, I built a little seating area with benches and flowers. Just a nice cozy place to enjoy some soup and a nice view of the river in the background. Put up a campfire there with a cauldron over it. It looks like they're having a good soup brew in there. Then I fixed up some of the wall and started to build a fence there to establish another little level change that I wanted to turn into another nice sitting area. Gotta make this place a nice place to live, you know, and I love how these benches turned out. Next to it, I built a little horse carrying a cart behind it to add a bit of life to the place. Maybe they're carrying their produce away by horse. And I built another little cauldron spot, because you can't have enough good soup. Or maybe they're boiling leather, who knows? Along the side of the river, I filled in the space with a nice green hedge made of azaelea leaves, and we also have a dirt path going off in this direction. I then went back to the wall and put in another hedge along it, because I wanted to fill in that space there, since it felt a little empty, and you can never have enough greenery. Now, since we have this wonderful river here, I would imagine they would use it for travel as well. So I built a little dock area there. I wanted it to look very rustic and cottagecore, so I added a nice roof to it, and I varied the shape with stairs and slabs and such. For the boat, I just let my imagination run free a bit, and I improvised and played around. I didn't really have a particular plan in mind here, so I just let things develop along the way. Played with the shape of it a little, and I kept the block palette pretty simple, but I'm satisfied with how it turned out. Ended up being a funky little boat, but it fits, so I'm happy. I added another field at the front. This time I made the fence fully out of wood, planted some potatoes. I wanted the fence to be fun, and I tried putting together little variations around the fence. Once again, I finished it off with some lanterns, cause you gotta have lanterns. And to finish off the exterior of the build, I added another stone stone wall next to the path here, and I put a bunch of lanterns on it. I then added some more wild behind it with lots of flowers, fern, and tall grass, along with some mushrooms to complete that wild, naturey look. Now over to the part no one ever skips, the interior. So let's have some fun with decorating. I decided to start with the room up inside of the tree trunk and work my way down throughout the build. For the first room, I made it into a seating area with a bit of an entryway type furniture where you can put your shoes and jackets and stuff. I decorated the room with plants and shelves, put a table with some chairs in the middle, a nice place to enjoy your morning coffee. Moving on down the stairs here, I wanted an open hallway area that leads to all the different parts of the house. I put a shelf up there with some fun drawers on it and a railing to make a loft area above the living room. Next up was the study, where I put more bookshelves and a nice little desk for the inhabitants of this little home. Some more shelves, paintings, and candles to decorate the place. I moved on to the little corner of the hallway where I made a nice wall texture with bamboo trapdoors with some birch behind them. I wanted to make a cozy bedroom in this room, so I added a nice dark floor and some lighter areas in the wall, and a birch ceiling with a blue center, a big bed with a green blanket with flowery prints on it, candles, and of course paintings on the wall. And plants, of course. Gotta have plants in every room. Now to the biggest room of the build, the living room. I made a wood floor here using the bottoms of barrels, and then I put a nice carpet with a dining table on it. I put more shelves and bookshelves in the corner surrounding a nice warm granite brick fireplace. I then finished it up by adding more decorative things and a nice little skull at the top. Next to it is gonna be the kitchen. Here I built a nice, albeit a bit cliche, checkerboard pattern as the floor of the kitchen. I finished a big window at the back with a view of the garden and lined the walls with a nice mixed wood texture. Now for what makes it a kitchen. I put a stove with some vents over it using smokers with slabs and walls above. I then put shelves, a little counter, and then I put a nice little hanging shelf hanging over the middle of the room and added lanterns and candles. For the rest of the room, I added more counter space, some nice barrels to store ingredients in, a nice yummy looking cake at the center of the room, a sink, and some herbs and spices, of course. Then I put some more barrels and drawers, and I finished the kitchen by adding a bit of decor. Now since we have such a wonderful kitchen, we gotta have a place to store ingredients, right? Well, then we need a cellar, don't we? So I dug my way down underneath and started working on a nice dark cellar. I wanted this place to be relatively dark and dense so that it truly felt like a place full of everything in it. I put up some bookshelves, lots of barrels and crates with potatoes using trapdoors and iron ore blocks, just stacks upon stacks of stuff, making it look super messy, but also like this person uses it a lot. Because sometimes your system needs to be your system, doesn't it? Whether it be tidy to someone else, well, that's a different case completely. And there we go. The cellar is complete, and so is the build. Now how about we have a little walk around and look at the place, don't we? The build is done. Now to end off the video here, I thought I'd give you guys a tour of the entire build, just to show you around from the player's perspective. So to get started, let's start off right here, by the nice door at the front of the lower part of the build here. We've got a nice hedge here, on a wall going to the upper section, hay bales, barrels, pathway going down there that leads to who knows where, but it's got a nice hedge going around it. And here, this is one of my favorite parts of the build, the janky little boat that I made, and a little dock going to it that I'm super proud of, super happy with. And we have a field going down here. We've got a horse and a cart transferring items here. We've got our big cauldron over the campfire here, some benches that I made. Of course, we got flowers, plants everywhere. Made a bit of a fence around the area right here. Another path that leads off into the forest. More greenery. I really love filling in little areas of greenery like this. And now on over to one of my favorite areas of the build. A little backyard garden right here with carrots, herbs, whatnot, barrels for storage where you can look right into the kitchen and the window of the bedroom there. Up here we've got more wildlife, another field of wheat and beetroot, berries. Got the little shack going on here. Of course, pathways going around the entire place. And this is one of my favorite things in the build. This is a cool little design I discovered. It's how you can build nice benches that is on Pinterest. And of course, another cauldron with good soup. And the second entrance. And let's not forget that the entire tree itself. Kind of the main thing here. I'm forgetting the main thing. Got a big lantern. Stuff like that. Let's head on inside and take a look at the interior. Here's the first room, just a little hangout area where you can hang up your clothes, banners, lots of plants, stuff like that. Going down the staircase here, we've got a little open area here, a study with books and whatnot, another little hallway area. One of my favorite rooms in this build, the bedroom with a nice blue ceiling, and then a nice textured bed sheet here. Good way to make a cool little flowery textile in the game. Now let's move on over to the living room / dining room area. Got a campfire going on, more bookshelves. Lots of bookshelves in this build. And here is the kitchen. full of barrels, cake, let's have a piece, barrels for all your ingredients, everything you'll need, lots of drawers, and to finish it off, a cellar, just as organized as my room in real life. As long as you can find everything where you have it, you got your own system going, then it's fine, right? But yeah, that is the build, and I'm super proud of how this turned out. It's probably one of my favorite builds so far. Now, that's it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all next time. I'm Huskerman, and I'm out. Wah, wah.